All right, y'all, out here after work. Just got to the gas station, pumping up some non-ethanol. Got some nice Neptonic fins, about to go hit a nice dive trip. Got Gabe and Bailey getting some ice and stuff. But yeah, we'll catch you guys out there. The first spot, it's like 40, we're on top of structure, it's like 40 feet of water here, but it's like pilings and stuff like that. And we're trying to see if there's pelagics. We got a tournament this weekend, and we're gonna see if we can't find some sort of cool fish. See you in the water. What's going on, y'all? This ended up being, I think, my third dive. I wasn't seeing anything else. I was kind of checking out the area. The weather was supposed to be pretty bad for the weekend. I checked it on my way out, and it just wasn't going to be good. So we weren't going to be able to go out too far. So I was just checking shallower spots, trying to see if I could find permit or something like that, cobia, stuff like that, because they're higher points. But it didn't end up working out that well. So I'm kind of just trying to get some fish and have a good dinner and a nice day with Gabe and Bailey. So I just go straight to the bottom like I've been talking about, and this is how you get the best opportunities at the biggest fish on the bottom. So I'm laying there grunting, and every time I turn my head, I'm seeing a big snapper. He's probably about 19 inches. Not a giant, but for 45 feet of water, it's a pretty good snapper. You'll see him right there at the top left. He's turning backwards, going behind me, and every time I turn my head, I can see him just a little bit out of the corner of my mask. And finally, when I turn around on this one, he ends up being close enough and gives me a good shot because he was curious enough. So right there, he gives me a good shot. Sorry about the camera angles, but yeah, I lined up and I took a nice shot, and as soon as I shot, the gun recoiled and hit me in my mouth because I just wasn't holding the butt of the gun tight enough, and it just hit me right in the mouth, and I really wasn't expecting that. And this dive ended up, I think, being about a minute 50, a minute 55. So this is, I think, my fifth dive now, and I kind of realized we weren't going to get anything else other than some snapper and maybe a couple smaller pelagic fish. So I'm taking my time, just going down to the bottom, checking out the area, and I'm seeing snapper up in the water column, so I just decided I'll go right to the bottom, wait there long enough, and hopefully one will give me a pretty good shot. Wasn't looking for anything massive, just because we weren't diving anything too crazy. We're not diving deep enough water to see some really, really big fish. I mean, you'll bump into some larger fish every once in a while, but for the most part, you're not going to see anything too crazy in 50 feet of water. But yep, kind of just chilling out here, taking my time, and if you wait long enough, you'll get a pretty good shot, and that's all that really matters. I mean, you're just trying to secure some food, so no complaints about this dive. Overall, ended up being a really nice dive. The camera angles are pretty bad on this day. I had my camera tilted way too far down, and I wasn't even aware of it. There's that snapper right there. You can see him, and he just gave me a nice shot because I was waiting there. And as you'll see, stoned him. No worries, he didn't run, didn't ruin any meat. Perfect food grade fish. Can't complain about this dive. Ended up being about another almost 2-minute dive, so yeah. So on this dive, I'm kind of just checking out the rest of the spot. We hadn't dove this area before. This was our first time diving it, so I'm kind of just not seeing anything too crazy. Shooting like 19-inch snappers, so I just decided I'll check out the rest of the area before I take my last dive and slide on out of here. Because we were still kind of looking for some cobia, some smaller or bigger permit, but we didn't end up finding anything too big. This was a shorter dive. It was only like a minute 40, minute 45, but kind of just swimming around. Because the more energy you waste on the bottom swimming is less bottom time. So overall, it was a decent dive, just checking out the area, seeing if there was anything crazy going on, but it just wasn't super fishy. There's a ton of small snapper, as you see, but none of them were worth taking. I knew if I stayed there long enough, I'd get some more snappers, so I wasn't too worried about chasing them. I was kind of more worried about the tournament, so just taking my time, looking around, and as you see right there, pretty good permit. He ended up being like 12, 13 pounds, I think, and he put up a decent fight. He didn't pull too hard, but I kind of just locked my reel down and didn't want him to go up under those pilings and rip off, so yeah. Gabe and Bailey just hopped back in the boat because Bailey got a nice barracuda, and I think that's her second fish she shot, so that was a pretty cool thing to experience. But yeah, it was a nice holding shot, and I didn't worry too much about just pulling this fish right up. Not a giant, but perfect food grade, so no complaints about that one. So after my last dive on that spot, I kind of just decided, alright, we can slide out. I'm not seeing anything too crazy, no big pelagics, anything like that. So we found another number. It was a lower end number, so we had to search for it for a while because we couldn't really just pinpoint it. This is my first time diving it. It ended up being a barge. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's been there for probably 100 years or so, because as you'll see, this whole thing's broken down. There's not much left to it, but there was a good bit of fish on it. I saw some really big snapper, about 23, 24 inches, but they were smart and they didn't want to give me a shot, so I did end up getting a pretty decent one, but there was a flasher on the ground, so I figured somebody had been diving this. So yeah, kind of just taking my time checking it out because I haven't dove this before. I didn't really know it was on it. I'd seen a couple permit in dives before and after this, but none of them gave me a shot, and also we didn't really need any more permit for the day. I was kind of just scouting, and I wasn't seeing anything too big, so I wasn't too worried about getting a shot off on them before the tournament. So yeah, as you see, just slowly swimming around, crawling along the bottom, and just waiting to spot a pretty good snapper because we only got 2 of them, and we got 3 people, but I got family at home and they wanted some fish as well. So as you see, a pretty good snapper, gave me a nice shot, and he was freaking out. Got a good holding shot on him. Well, actually, this wasn't even that good of a shot. He was just freaking out, and he almost ripped off. So I kind of just gave him his line as I was going up. When I was going up, I looked down and I saw it isn't the greatest shot, but it's not a fish worth putting another shot into. And I knew if I played him light enough, I could get him. So as you'll see, probably 1/8 of an inch of meat left on that shaft. I'm surprised he didn't rip off with how crazy he was going, but another 18-inch snapper, but perfect food grade. I ended up bleeding and killing all these fish before I kept them. So yeah, they were really nice to eat and had a great time. So after that, I think it was 2 more dives after that one. We ended up sliding, going to a different area, and we're back onto some more artificial stuff, culverts and all that stuff. And this is my first dive, kind of checking the area out. Gabe and Bailey just dropped me off here, so I'm just going down, checking the area out, taking my time. And as you'll see, there's a pretty good mangrove, but he doesn't give me the greatest shot. So this isn't the greatest dive. I mean, it was a longer dive, 1:50, but it wasn't the one you want to take notes from. So kind of just waiting. Seen some decent ones, probably 17 inchers, 18 inchers, but I wanted to try and shoot a bigger one, but I ended up getting one of those medium class snapper on this dive. Not too shabby, but that one right there is a decent snapper. If he would have gave me a good shot, I probably would have taken it, but I went after that one and he did not want to cooperate at all. He was taking off, and I just decided I'll probably see another one on another dive and right here, as I was about to head up, there was a snapper that gave me a good shot, and I decided I might as well take it because it wasn't straight down into the rocks, but somehow he got wrapped, and I decided I'm gonna just take my time and go up to the surface because I don't have any buddy divers with me. So just went up and took another recovery dive and grabbed the fish out from under the culverts. So this is my recovery dive, taking my time, going down to the bottom. I breathed up real nicely, so I wasn't too worried about getting down there fast and trying to rip the fish out. So just taking my time, seeing what he's wrapped on and just pulling him out. So I got the fish now, and I still had a good bit of time just looking around, seeing if there's anything else, seeing if it's worth staying here. And this was my last dive. I just decided, alright, we can slide. This was a decent snapper. Somehow I didn't stone him. If I was probably about an 1/8 inch lower, I would have stoned him, but pretty good recovery dive, and I ended up heading up and changing spots. So, yeah. So this is my last dive of the day overall. This is like bridge pilings and stuff like that. I'd taken a couple dives, so I knew what was going on, and I just wanted to get one more snapper for dinner, and I just head down to the bottom. This dive was my longest of the day. It ended up being 2 minutes and I think 6 seconds, 2 minutes 7 seconds. Just chilling out, taking my time, looking up under these pilings. And as you'll see, these fish, if you are just sitting there, that hogfish was probably 10 inches from my face. And all these snapper are swarming up on me. They're just checking it out, seeing if I'm food or what I am, seeing if I'm a predator. They're not too worried. They're just chilling out. And if you're this calm on the bottom, these fish are going to end up giving you a good shot. You wait them out and they'll become too curious. There's a decent redfish right there. Everything will just swim up to you. And I've been laying there long enough, and this one right here finally gave me a good enough shot, and I decided I'd take it. And he almost got wrapped into those ropes. As you'll see, I just make sure he doesn't get wrapped in those before I head up. And overall, a pretty good day. And thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked the video and you want to see more, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. If you got any suggestions for the next video, drop a comment and we'll make sure to do that. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one. I'm here.